Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Music for a Book podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Britt.
And I'm Hannah.
And every 2 weeks, we read and review a book, assign a song to that book, draw the parallels between the two, and have some fun along the way. So welcome back to Season 2, Episode 12 of the Music for a Book podcast.
And our Christmas in July episode.
Christmas in July.
This week, for our Christmas in July episode, we have chosen a fun little short Christmas book called Comfort and Joy by Kristin Hannah.
Yes, neither of us have read any Kristin Hannah, so we figured a cute little Christmas novella would be a great introduction to her. So how this episode is going to work is we're going to go over trigger warnings and a brief synopsis for the book, because somehow there are several trigger warnings for this Christmas book. Then we will reveal our song choices, best part. After our song choices, we will move into what we like to call spoiler territory, meaning that we will be talking about anything and everything that happens cover to cover inside of this book. And I will tell you, we are going to be talking about everything that happens in this book. So if you would like to read it, feel free to come back and, listen after you've read. If not, join us for the ride, because I'm just going to say that I don't think you necessarily have to read this one to fully enjoy the episode at hand.
Yeah, I would just stick around. If you really want to read it, go ahead. Otherwise, we will summarize this book pretty quickly for you, and you'll get this probably the same emotional reaction listening to us relive it.
Correct.
Than you will reading it.
Yep.
Dear reader,
just a few of the trigger warnings, theme warnings. Remember, always check your own triggers. These are from Storygraph. So we have death of a parent, fire injury, body horror, infidelity, medical trauma, injury detail, and a plane crash.
Which is, again, insane, but it's fine. So, a brief synopsis. We got this one from Storygraph. So, Jo Candelero once loved Christmas more than any other time of the year. Now, as the holiday approaches, she's at a crossroads in her life. Recently divorced and alone, she can't summon the old enthusiasm for celebrating. So without telling anyone, she buys a ticket and boards a plane bound for the beautiful Pacific Northwest. When an unexpected detour takes her deep into the woods, Joy makes a bold decision to leave her ordinary life behind, to just walk away, and thus begins an adventure unlike anything she could have imagined. In the small town of Rain Valley, 6-year-old Bobby O'Shea is facing his first Christmas without a mother. Unable to handle the loss, Bobby has closed himself off from the world, talking only to his invisible best friend. His father, Daniel, is beside him, desperate to help his son cope. Yet, when the little boy meets Joy, these two unlikely souls form a deep and powerful bond. And helping Bobby and Daniel heal, Joy finds herself again. But not everything is as it seems in quiet Rain Valley, and in an instant, Joy's world is ripped apart and her heart is broken. On a magical Christmas Eve, a night of impossible dreams and unexpected chances, Joy must find the courage to believe in a love and a family that can't possibly exist, and go in search of what she wants, and the new life only she can find.
What an adventure Joy's about to have.
So dramatic. All right. Are you ready to reveal our song choices for this book?
La 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 la. Yeah.
So the last time we did a Christmas episode for season 1, I had picked a non-Christmas song and you picked a Christmas song. This time I was like, I'm going to pick a Christmas song. I'm going to go for it. And I actually took a page out of your book and I picked a Kelly Clarkson Christmas song. So, because Kelly is amazing. And so I picked Winter Dreams, parentheses, Brandon's song by Kelly Clarkson.
All right. Love a good Kelly song. I did not pick a Christmas song. I did pick a Taylor song. This is one song that popped in my head pretty early. But I picked Labyrinth by Taylor Swift.
Ooh. Love that one.
All right. Spoiler zone.
Spoiler zone.
And I will say a lot happens in these first 2 chapters. So even if you listen to the first 2, think we're spoiling it. No, there's so much.
It's literally
that happens.
20 pages. And it's insane.
We will be discussing anything and everything that's happening to Joy. So if you don't want to be spoiled, pause now, read the book, come back. If you want to be along for the ride,
just join us. Just join us. All right. So book starts off Comfort and Joy by Kristin Hannah, and we meet Joy as a school librarian, and there's some family drama straight out of the gate. So we find out, because it's coming up on Christmas break, Joy's her cute little librarian self. her husband, she's, divorcing him. She got a divorce. And she got a divorce because she came home and found him sleeping with
Her sister.
her sister. So husband sleeping with sister, right? She comes home from school one day. Said sister, Stacy, this bitch, is standing in Joy's driveway and is like, hey, yeah, we're getting married. Also, I'm pregnant. Do you want to come to our wedding?
Like, no, thank you. Bye. Like, no. Full stop.
We're like 3 minutes into this, maybe. Let this be a PSA that you do not have to accept apologies from toxic family members just because they're family.
No.
That is insane behavior.
It's not like just for the summer, right? Brad's dating somebody that Justin used to date. Like, okay, that was a couple dates. Totally different. Then your sister marrying your husband and having a kid with him when you couldn't have kids with him and were married to this man.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they got divorced and then her sister got with him. Like, actively cheating on your wife with her sister.
Whew. Yeah. I heard of this book first and I read that, literally immediately texted Britt and was like, the drama,
and I was like, how much can happen that this book is 200 pages, maybe.
A 6-hour audiobook on 2-speed, it's less than 3 hours.
Yeah, yes.
But yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, the drama. But yeah, so obviously Joy is not in the Christmas spirit.
No.
Because of everything that is happening. So one thing about Joy too is being a librarian, she reads a lot, right? And wants to go to these exotic places and always wants to travel and has the dream to do that.
Yeah.
So finally it kind of pushes her to all right, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go for it.
Yes. She goes to the airport. Well, first she goes to buy a Christmas tree, straps it onto her car, and then is like, actually, no, we're going to go to the airport. So she goes, she thinks that it's fate because there's a city named Hope, naturally. So we have Joy and we have Hope. And she's like, I want to go there, please. And it turns out that going there means buying a ticket on a pre-bought charter flight.
Mm-hmm.
So she approaches a strange man and is like, hi, do you have any seats available on your airplane? And he's like, you're in luck, $100 American. Yes, we sure do. And so she leaves and comes back with items and hops on this airplane.
Yep. I was like, okay, cool, Joy. I'm proud of you. Let's go on this adventure.
Yes.
Let's get out of here. Let's get away from your ex-husband and your sister. Let's go.
Yeah, throw the whole family away. Get rid of them all. Also, her mom has passed away too. That is important. So she doesn't really have anyone. Her sister and her were always close growing up. But when she's on this plane, she has this magazine and she sees this comfort fishing lodge. And she's like, I will go there. That feels like a place I want to go to. I feel like she tried to eat, pray, love her way through this. And,
yes.
We ended up, I know the book is called Comfort and Joy, but it literally should have called Stressed and Depressed because that's how I felt reading it this whole time.
Yeah, I was very stressed.
Very stressed. So what happens on this charter flight?
If you've seen Lost, if you've seen Yellow Jackets, that's what I imagine, right? This vivid plane crash. Don't really want to go into detail because it's very heavy and very scary, But yeah, so she finds herself in a plane crash, hanging upside down, somehow walks away from paramedics and
you guys
by herself.
So after this, would I tell you, this is a vivid description of a plane crash. People are fighting for their lives. There's explosions. It's too much. She's laying on the ground in a field in a forest fucking somewhere, right? She's chilling. She has somehow her camera still attached and fully intact and functional around her neck. She has no socks. Well, she is missing one sock and one shoe. No ID, no money. And she goes, oh, the paramedics think that I probably died in the explosion that just happened. So I'm just going to go now. I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
So it's the middle of winter in the Pacific Northwest, and she's hobbling away with her no shoe, fully intact camera after surviving a lost style plane crash.
Yeah. And then she, stumbles into this city called New Hope and says it looks like a movie set. So this is where I was getting like very like Hallmark vibes. I'm like, all right, this is where we're getting the Hallmark Christmas movie vibes here.
I feel like too, though, we always, if you've been around, our phrase, our motto is let a book be a book. We can suspend belief in reality for some things. The suspension of reality had to have been on a parallel fucking universe for this one.
Yeah, it was a stretch.
It was a stretch. Also, before we get too far in, I do just want to mention real quick, because Hannah and I we don't talk about the book much, but we did have a conversation, because if you have read this book, or if you do read this book, just know that it was written in 2005, and we're not going to mention specific things. There are definitely a few phrases, terms, and things like that very much spoke for the times and not who I believe Kristin Hannah is as an author now. Yeah, we're not going to touch on them, but they did make us uncomfortable. So if you do read it, just be aware that there are a few things that were like, oh, we probably would not say that.
A little dated. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's very true. So she does find the Comfort Fishing Lodge, but it's up for sale, and she does stumble in, and little Bobby's there, the owner's son. I think what gets me about this book, though, too, is like the names are just all so simple.
Yes.
Like little Bobby, Joy, I don't know. It was just like, felt very, on the front it says it's like a fable. I was like, all right, this is just a very stretched story. But Bobby checks her into a room, even though he's not supposed to, because he says his mom taught him how, and they have rooms available. But obviously he's not scared of this lady with one shoe, no ID.
She has to look insane from this plane crash too. Like, right? Is she not maimed and like burned and scratched to bits? Like, she got into a plane crash. Like,
yeah, I feel like this is where like we have to like warp reality, right? Because I feel like as soon as she got into New Hope and like a movie set, that she was just like Cinderella.
Yes, it was just absolutely.
She doesn't look like a crazy person, because I do feel like Bobby would hopefully have some stranger danger if like this crazy lady walked in, but who knows? But that's what I choose to believe, is that like she enters New Hope and it kind of Cinderella'd her into.
Yeah, it like had a magical like veil over the town or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Bobby gets her checked in. She's in room 1A. And because this is, a magical Hallmark type town, eventually she finds some clothes, but she like takes a shower with all of her clothes on and then dries them and gets her life together. And the next day she meets Daniel, Bobby's father. And Daniel is immediately like, "Aye, Bobby." He's Irish, because of course he is. And he calls Bobby Boyo. Like, I don't think I've ever heard the nickname Boyo more in my life than I have in these 200 pages. But, he's a ruggedly handsome, like slightly older man who obviously just lost his ex-wife, because they were divorced. And Bobby didn't really spend a lot of time with Daniel. And so Bobby starts to like immediately confide in Joy about things, and you can tell it like really rubs Daniel the wrong way, because he's like, "I'm here, I'm your dad." He said that little things he would say like, "Oh, your mom really let this place go," and it's clear that there's a for sale sign outside, so it's clear that he's trying to just clean things up, sell the place, move them back to Boston. Bobby tells Joy too, like, he gets made fun of a lot at school and at church. They call him a crybaby. He has imaginary friends. And it's just like, it's hard for him to connect. But Joy, in her little Delulu holiday land, is like, "Oh my God, this is my fresh start. This is it. This is my moment."
Bobby, I did feel bad for Bobby.
I did too.
This poor little boy, right? Doesn't have his mom, and, getting made fun of at school. And it, like, the way he describes it too, of course he's not going to be like in the Christmas spirit or just different things. Like, poor Bobby. I just wanted to hug him.
I know. So like I said, Joy starts to get close. They like play a lot of games together. And Daniel does soften a little bit around Bobby. And it seems like he's finding his footing. But Bobby gets into a fight at youth group because, Joy tells him it's okay to cry. And obviously she's a school librarian. Like, she works with kids all the time. And
Yeah.
She's teaching Bobby really how to read again, diving into things that he hasn't done since his mom passed away in school, and he hasn't really been able to really get into. But this kid calls him a crybaby, and apparently he, swung first, so then Bobby hit back, and it was just, these little like conflicts. And I will say, for a book being so short, so much happens, but simultaneously nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of little moments between Joy and Daniel and Bobby in this fishing lodge. There's a lot of little cute moments, but I feel like none of it add up to like a plot.
No, I agree with you. I feel like it's just a lot of little things. Like, it's such a short read and a lot happens, but I remember it, but I don't remember some of the little things. Joy and Bobby spend a lot of time together. Joy teaches Bobby how to read. She actually gets a Christmas tree for them because Daniel's like, no, we're not getting one. Like, why would we get one? We don't need it.
Yeah.
And they decorate it. And then they go to the beach for this cute little evening. Bobby like demands that Joy and Daniel dance together. I'm like, okay. I don't know. To me, that was just like interesting.
It was very persistent, like very persistent.
Yeah, I don't know. That didn't feel in character for me for Bobby necessarily. I thought like Bobby and Joy, not like, like Bobby wanted to dance with Joy because it's like in his mind that motherly figure, but I guess that's where he pushed, with Daniel too. But then Joy just starts to kind of have this moment where something romantic could happen between her and Daniel, was her thought. So they go back to the lodge and they watch a movie together.
Yeah, they watch a movie together, and Joy has another weird moment with Daniel, and they're like talking about pictures of his late ex-wife, and Joy has this like minor romantic advance she tries to make on Daniel, but he doesn't really respond to it. And so she takes that as kind of like a rejection, but also oh my God, you dumbass, why are you bringing up a romantic situation when you're talking about his dead ex-spouse? Like, just weird little something or others, but Joy continues the move to teach Bobby how to read.
And then Joy watches on TV. There's like a news story about the plane crash, and her sister's on TV with her ex-husband crying. I just can't with this. I can't. Begging for like her safe return, and because Joy couldn't be located after the crash. And Joy's like, okay, I need to call my sister. And then the power goes out. So she walks through the storm to a gas station and braving the elements again.
The man at the gas station is like half deaf, can't hear her. So she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna like steal his phone real quick.
So she does get a hold of Stacy, let her know that she's alive. And
I think it was a voicemail, because it was a voicemail it said Stacy and Tom are not available.
Right.
And Joy is like,
I just like blocked out anything with Stacy. Like, I just can't.
Bro,
I disowned in my life. Yeah, we'll talk about it later, but I just can't. So yeah. So back to Bobby and Joy. Joy does help Bobby with a Christmas gift for his dad. Does leave one for herself too. She helps Bobby write out improvements for the lodge and just kind of a plan to like keep it together. He doesn't want to let it go.
Yeah, I think it's like fresh carpet.
Yeah.
Change the name to make it more romantic, paint the trim, flowers, fix the cabins. But it's all spelled horribly wrong in Bobby's little 8-year-old handwriting.
Yeah. And I think too, because it's like one of Joy's dreams, right, is to travel and own a lodge, a bed and breakfast like this too. So it all just seems very right for Joy. Like, okay, all this stuff is going wrong back in my hometown with my ex-husband and my sister. And then she finds Bobby. Joy wanted to have kids, but didn't, and wanted to travel and kind of have this place. And so she like found a place that she did. So I think that's where she's in this little happy bubble right now.
Yeah. And then Bobby also collects little arrowheads and stuff like that. So when Bobby goes to bed, and Bobby convinces Joy to stay through Christmas Eve. Like, she knows she needs to go home. She knows she needs to let her family know she's okay. Why? I hope her family falls off the face of the earth. It's fine. I swear. But so she's like, okay, I'm going to go outside and see if I can find anything for Bobby for Christmas, because she doesn't have any American dollars on her. And so she's like, let me forage in the woods. And she goes outside, and on a shiny beacon of a rock with the moonlight cracked through the sky, magic has dazzled upon it. and Bobby's mom has left her a white arrowhead, which was very significant to Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
And she scoops it up, and that's going to be Bobby's gift for Christmas.
Yeah. And one thing I don't think we went too in detail on either is we said like Bobby does have imaginary friends. And one of his imaginary friends is his mom that he does talk to. She's still somebody that's very special to Bobby in everything that he does too. Christmas Eve rolls around and they end up going to church. Joy decides now's the time. Me and Daniel, I'm leaving soon. I just need to live out my dream, right? Because I feel like right now she's in like kind of a dream world.
I feel like Joy is the queen of romanticizing things because her life is such a shithole right now. She's like, this is a dream.
Yeah.
This is what I want.
She's finally like, I'm going to do this for myself. But then, of course, you know, things happen. Her vision goes blurry. Knees weak. Arms are sweaty. Her hands are sweat. Palms are sweaty. Trying to read and think of Eminem at the same time. And then she's in severe pain, and then suddenly she blacks out. And then we get to part 2.
Yep. And let me tell you, the minute she hobbled her happy ass away from the plane crash, I fucking knew this happened. I knew it.
See, I didn't think that, but that's
Really?
just... I feel like that's me and you, though.
That's true.
I just am like, you know, letting it be a book. And as much as I'm like, this doesn't seem real, I like am not thinking what could actually...
Yeah, because I knew, I was like, yeah, there's no way. There's no way. So part 2, Joy comes to in a hospital. Her sister, is there and says she's been out for 2 weeks, but she should recover. She's been intubated. And her doctor is the deaf man from the gas station.
It all felt very like Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, a little bit.
She wakes up and she's like, and you were there. And you were there.
She's like, no. I'm going to go back to dreamland. And she like forces herself back to sleep. And by forces herself, I'm pretty sure it's the morphine or whatever they gave her. Whatever drug they gave her sent her back to La La Land, sent her right back to that fishing lodge. She fades back to Daniel and Bobby in a dream, but Daniel can like no longer really see her. And Bobby's like, he sees her, but he's like, she's leaving me like mom did. And we also didn't mention this, it just popped into my head, but Bobby accidentally calls Joy mommy in the first part too. And so there's a weird, like, he's definitely using her as like a placeholder for his mom. Bobby is devastated because Joy had left without saying goodbye when she promised him that she wouldn't do that. Which, again, though, if she like passed out, Bobby, she's dying on the floor. Let's all relax ourselves. But it tore her apart. Absolutely ripped her apart. She doesn't know what to do. She wakes up and she can't go back to the place once she's up. But she knows it was real. Something in her is like, this was real. Mm-hmm. But she finds out that the plane never even crashed in Washington. And the lodge that was in the magazine she saw, that she lived in this like temporary dream state, was torn down in 2003. This book was written in 2005, so it felt like a much longer time frame after I found out how long ago it was written. But a couple of years prior, it was torn down.
Yeah. Yep. And this is the part that I was like so annoyed. Is like, so Joy basically forgives Stacy and is like, you know what? This is the only family I have. Obviously, me and Tom didn't work out, and it was because Stacy's just like me. And so really he wanted her, and yeah, blah, 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 whatever. I just can't even fathom that thought.
No, she literally was like, oh yeah, that's definitely on me. My marriage was failing, so it makes sense that my sister slept with him.
I mean, I still haven't gotten over, I mean, I'm over it now, but like, what happened to me in college? I'm just like, and that wasn't even like me being cheated on. And I still am just like, peace, nothing to do with you, out of here. So I'm like, no, if somebody did that to my husband, I'd be like, no, you guys are not part of my life. Bye.
In your flesh and blood? No. But she's like, yes, I love you so much. When that plane was going down, I could only think about how I wanted to forgive you. And then also when the plane went down, Joy saw their mom who had passed away, and she was like, you need to like live and let live. You need to just let it go. And I was like, your mom is part of the fucking problem. She's not part of the solution. Get rid of her ghost. You find a new family, Joy. Find a new family. But here we are. She forgives Stacy.
Yep. Like, I don't know. Just Joy, is trying to sell her house. It ends up like getting sold now. And she's determined and a little delusional that she is going to find Daniel and Bobby. That she wants to prove to herself, I think a lot, that like it was real. So she fights her trauma and gets on a plane.
Listen, out of like all of the things that happened in this book, I truly think her getting on a plane so soon after that crash was one of the most unbelievable things I've ever read in my life.
Yes.
Even Stacy said she went and waited for her at the airport to make sure she would get on the plane because she thought she wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I know Bobby and Daniel, that whole first part was, dreamt of, wasn't real. The plane crash was. Like, she out of a fucking plane into a field.
Yeah, no.
And she's like, yeah, it's my time to shine. Let's go to Seattle.
Yep. All right, Joy, go for it. So she gets there and she ends up finding the little random town of Rain Valley. And it just feels right for her. Tugs on her gut, tugs on her heartstrings. And she's like, the town feels the same, but different. So she does ask around about Daniel and Bobby, and she finds out that they are real, are real people. Obviously, they don't have the fishing lodge, right? So she goes to the house, and I think she like calls Stacy right before because like the street is blocked by a log or whatever, and she's still like hobbling because she's injured from this plane crash.
Oh yeah, she has a cane.
Yeah, and so she's like, "Oh, I can make it across this." Parks the car and like walks across this log to their house or whatever. I don't know. Just Joy is a different breed.
Yes. So when she met Bobby originally, he asked her, "Are you real?" Because, he has his imaginary friends. So when she gets to up to the house, she hears Bobby's voice. And she's like, this is him. This is him. How do I know? How do I know? Turns out, Joy, while she was in her coma, transported herself and became Bobby's imaginary friend in her like comatose state. And Daniel couldn't actually see her. He was only having limited interactions with her based off of what the descriptions and the things that Bobby was telling him, which is why when she was trying to make like advances and say things to him, he was like, because he couldn't fucking see her.
So he really wasn't a dick, which is nice. Like, I didn't understand Joy's attraction to him because I'm like, he's kind of annoying. He's not really acknowledging you in a very like positive way. So it makes sense that he couldn't see her. That he was just like,
that checks out.
Talking to Bobby's imaginary friend because that's what like his therapist told him to do, to encourage that. So
now this is where shit gets weird though, because Daniel and Bobby are like, oh my God, you're real. Oh my God, you're real. And she's like, I'm real. I'm here. I don't understand. Bobby brings out his little sheet of paper that has all of the things that he wrote down that Joy told him to as a gift to Daniel. And it's written in the same handwriting she remembers. And she had got her clothing back from the crash site. And when she looks in her pocket, oh my God, what's in there? What is it?
The arrowhead.
Oh my God, the arrowhead.
The arrowhead, the white arrowhead.
The arrowhead's in the pocket.
And then, just like a Hallmark movie,
Daniel tells her, like, you felt so real. Look at all these pictures that Bobby drew of you. These, like, real-life renderings of who you are and look like. And look at you now, standing in front of us looking exactly like my 8-year-old's hand-drawn pictures.
And just in true Hallmark Christmas movie fashion, they kiss, Daniel and Joy. And they both believe in magic. And they live happily ever after. And that's Comfort and Joy by Kristin Hannah.
That is Comfort and Joy by Kristin Hannah, better known as Distressed and Depressed, Christmas edition.
Yeah, just read the first 2 chapters.
That's all you need. The first chapter
and the first 2 chapters were great.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't want to judge Kristin Hannah off this book.
No.
Because I think like, one, a lot of the things were dated. So a lot of the things I'm like, okay, I don't think she'd write that today. I think it started off really strong. Like,
yeah,
the first 2 chapters, the drama with her sister and the ex-husband, even the plane crash, even though it was like pretty intense, I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
Yeah.
let's see where this goes. But I just think a lot of things weren't developed throughout, which with a short book, like, how could it? And I think if you are going to read this, if you haven't, or if you did, like, you have to go in with let a book be a book, magical, just take everything out and just enjoy it, because I couldn't get past Stacy.
That was my thing. Like, I can suspend belief of reality. Like, one of my favorite thriller books last year, a lot of people hated it because it was too unrealistic, but the only one left. I loved it because I was just like, who cares if it's crazy? It's amazing. Like, it's so entertaining. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I can do it, but like, I think there's a fine line. And the fine line for me, like Hannah said, was Stacy. Like, there is no way on God's green fucking earth would I have forgiven my sister for sleeping with my husband, getting pregnant, and then showing up to my house with a wedding invitation to say, here, we're getting married 6 months after you got a divorce.
And like, everyone expects her to be okay with it. People at work too are like, you're not coming to the party? Why not? Well, you're not in the Christmas spirit, Joy. Usually you are. And I'm like, she doesn't have to be okay with this. She does not have to be okay with this.
This is a thing that you should not be okay with. Period.
Yeah. And so that was Comfort and Joy.
That was Comfort and Joy. We have to have at least one book a season we don't like.
Yeah.
At least one.
At least one. And I mean, it was so short.
It's
not like, I don't think I would have DNF'd it. I think I would have pushed through if I wasn't reading for the podcast.
I agree.
I would have finished it. I don't regret reading it, but I'm not going to recommend you to read it either.
No, like, I had to slug through it, but like, I needed to see it through because I needed to know why. But yeah, so let's talk about our song choices.
Let's do it.
So I picked Winter Dreams, parentheses, Brandon's song. And the reason I picked this one was because of a Christmas song. And if you were not around last season, you know that I'm not like the biggest holiday girly. I'm not the biggest Christmas music girl. However, this fit because the song starts out by saying, drawing hearts on the foggy glass, new love, chase away my past, nothing but the open road, saddle up, here we go, 1, 2, 3. And so that is Joy, take it on her new life, going to the airport, hopping on a charter plane, like, I'm going to leave everything behind. I'm going to start fresh. First winter here in your arms, flames rising as we fall like the stars, making angels in the snow, warm, fuzzy, frozen toes. Is this a dream? And, you know, it's just the cute little moments she has with Bobby and Daniel at the fishing lodge, even though she is imaginary. She experienced them, but like, not really. You know what I mean? And the little like chorus part is, don't wake me up. If this is love, please let me be. So, you know, she was literally in a coma while this was happening. I feel like this is just a dreamy, romantic little Christmas song of new hope, new experiences, and just kind of hoping like this has to be real. Like this has to be a new start for me. And then it says, swept completely off my feet, this snow globe scene is turning me. This Christmas Eve, I became we. Don't wake me, please, from this winter dream. So, like, when she is Christmas Eve, and she's like, this is my moment. I'm going to tell Daniel how I feel. And then she wakes up in a hospital. It just says winter dream. So, yeah, I just think this is literally Joy in her, like, little dreamland state. Not wanting to go home to her sister, obviously. Not wanting to go home to her ex-husband, obviously. Yeah. And wanting to find this new start in this cute, quaint, romantic Hallmark town with this boy that she's going to take in as her own. And something else, too, that I didn't say earlier, but I wanted to mention is, like, the fact that she was comparing her experience of being cheated on by her husband and her sister to Bobby and Daniel losing their mom/wife, I thought was also a little weird, but, you know, here we are. It's fine. It says, built a fire to escape the cold, Ben Crosby on the stereo, chasing, letter on my skin, slowly start sinking in, you love me. Don't wake me up. If this is love, please let me be. And then it repeats the I became we. And it says, dreaming dreams while I'm wide awake, the tree, the light, staying up late. It's true. I'm in love with you. And it's just, you know, don't wake me up from this winter dream. I just felt like it was a cute little Christmas song that kind of encapsulated the spirit of the actual moments that she had with them while she was the quote unquote imaginary friend. And also the begging of like, please don't wake me up from this dream as she's being woken up from this dream into an actual nightmare.
No, I think it's cute. I love that you picked a Christmas song too.
I just had to.
Yeah. I went back and forth, but I really like the song I chose for this.
Yes.
So I picked Labyrinth by Taylor Swift. So the first verse is like, it only hurts this much right now, was what I was thinking the whole time. Breathe in, breathe through, breathe deep, breathe out. I'll be getting over you my whole life. So it just kind of made me think of the situation with Tom and Stacy, where I feel like she's not getting over it her whole life, but that's how she should be feeling, right?
Yes.
Is like, but it only hurts this much right now is just what she's thinking. You know, in that moment that kind of propels her to go to the airport and hop on that plane in the first place. Yeah. The next line is, you know how scared I am of elevators. And, you know, Joy talks about she always wants to do things, but she never does them. And I feel like that's where she's kind of scared to do the things that she wants to do.
Yeah.
So it's reminding me of that. But the next line is like me telling her things like, never trust it if it rises fast. It can't last. Obviously, things are happening too quickly. Like, new little like dreamland, Joy. Come on. But the chorus that's repeated, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in this song. But it's, oh no, I'm falling in love. Oh no, I'm falling in love again. I thought the plane was going down. How'd you turn it right around? Obviously, with the plane crash, it made me think of this song.
Yes.
But I feel like that's Joy, right? Like she thought her life was kind of going down, right? With the plane crash, like everything was just kind of coming to this big catastrophic ending, right? Like with her sister, ex-husband, her new niece or nephew, right? The wedding. But then she's falling in love again, like in this little town, right? In this little Daniel and Bobby and all this little stuff. So yeah, definitely made me think of like that piece for her, like, okay, maybe I can fall in love again. Maybe I can do this, right? Yeah. And then really the line, like, lost in the labyrinth of my mind, just made me think of when she was in that coma, right? Her dreamland is kind of that labyrinth that's taking her around. Yeah. And, you know, it also says in the song, you know how much I hate that everybody just expects me to bounce back just like that. Mm-hmm. So just like how they like, you should be okay with this. Like, he didn't love you. So that's why I picked Labyrinth. I mean, it repeats itself over and over again, but I feel like it's just also like Joy kind of telling herself, like, I thought the plane was going down. I thought everything was going wrong, but I'm falling in love again, kind of with that hope there.
Totally. No, it's a good choice.
Thanks.
All right. Let's talk about our book ratings. So we rate on our own little book scale for the podcast. We rate Into the Moon, Into Saturn. I rate moons. Hannah rates Saturns. And so this book, for the pure, like, drama I got alone from the plane crash and the, cheating sister scandal, I feel like I'm going to go with 2 moons because I wasn't horrified by the entire book. Like, I was entertained at some points. I finished it. I would have finished it if I had started this on my own just to, like, see it through. I just can't realistically give it more than 2 for myself. It wasn't good. It just was not good.
No, I'm also giving it 2 Saturns for similar reasons. Like,
yeah,
it was quick. It was enjoyable. There was a lot. Like, I just felt like I wanted to, like, talk to people about it and be like, if you were in this situation, what would you do?
Correct.
Like just talking about it in general, but it's not something, like I said, I'm not judging Kristin Hannah off this because I know a lot of people love a lot of her books. A lot of my friends do and have recommended it. But yeah, 2 Saturns. That's what you're getting.
Now, if you want to recommend your favorite Kristin Hannah book, like we said, we're definitely not judging her writing off of a book she wrote back in 2005. Like, no, things have changed. It was just supposed to be a fun little Christmas in July book, which honestly, this episode was fun to record and talk about. So, you know, it's not every book we're going to love, and that's fine. But I know she has she primarily writes what I've seen in historical fiction. I am personally not a historical fiction girly. However, I am willing to maybe, you know, give her a try. Just let me know what your favorite books are, and I'll add them to my TBR, and perhaps I'll get around to them. But I am just a thriller, romantic-y romance girl. So
yeah. Let us know, what your favorite is and why, and if you've read Comfort and Joy and how that compares to some of her other books, because we are open. I will say, I'm so excited for our next episode.
Me too.
Also kind of sad because it's the end of season 2, and season 2, I feel like we've had such amazing book choices. Really? A ton of recommendations from different people, book talk, anticipated new releases that came out, which this one is one of them. So yeah, what are we reading for episode 13?
Episode 13, our season 2 finale. We're going back to our OG roots. We're going back. We're doing a thriller, y'all. And we are doing Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose.
Yep. And we cannot wait. So definitely pick that book up, read it along with us, and so we don't spoil it and you can have fun. Her books are pretty quick reads, just little popcorn thrillers. Like,
I was going to say, like, don't pick up a Geneva Rose book expecting a literary masterpiece, but you can expect to be fully entertained, twists and turns, and just have fun with it. Like, those are books where I feel like if you suspend a little disbelief in reality, you're just going to have a grand old time. But it's not going to be the best written book you've ever read. Her books are just fun and entertaining.
Yep. And even though season 2 is coming to an end, don't worry. Season 3, of course, we are going to announce that and the theme of that beginning of the season here soon. But we will talk more about it in our next episode, but we will have some fun content in between seasons that we want to have you stick around for, and have some guest hosts, because probably by the time this episode comes out, I will be in full swing motherhood. So we will be kind of regrouping and having fun. And
we're going to temporarily pass the torch to bring on some other people, and we'll explain exactly what that means next episode. But we are so excited for our little filler in between season 2 and season 3.
Yep. So thank you for listening. Please rate and review the podcast. We really appreciate any and all feedback that you have. Follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Discord. Subscribe to our Patreon. We have a couple free videos. One nice little Taylor Swift drafting, the Tortured Poets Department release. And we'll be announcing probably season 3 books, I feel like, on Patreon pretty soon. So definitely, if you want to start reading those early, if they are released, you'll definitely be the first to know if you're on Patreon.
Exactly, because we will release like a queue of what's coming up for our season, maybe the first, 6 or so books, but you won't be getting that until a little bit later in the summer, in the fall. So if you want to know first, we already have an idea of the kind of books that we're going to be reading for season 3. First look on Patreon. But thank you all so much. We're so excited. We're going to see you on Wednesday, July 31st for our season 2 finale. I can't believe I'm saying that right now. With our review of Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose, and we will see you all there.
Yep. Keep reading with kindness, fam. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.